What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Talking baseball. JT, DC, myself, breaking down a 7-game slate. And we do have an early lock time today, 6:40 Eastern on FanDuel and DraftKings. The rare 6:40 start time. So an hour and 9 minutes. We'll make sure to be off at least 10 minutes, 15, something like that. So you guys can get your lineups in, just like we have to get our lineups in as well. But excited to talk some baseball, 7 games. Got one day game going on right now. Brian Bellows, Shane McClanahan, little showdown slate action for me. Hope everybody's having a good day. JT, how you looking over there, man? You got that Duncan Robinson mean mug going on right now. How's it going?
I definitely don't want to be wearing anything that Duncan Robinson sports, so we'll change that. It's good. It's been a busy Monday. It is a nice slate here, a little earlier than they usually do on Mondays. So I don't know. I think what we're going to see now, at least if it's like last season, is we'll see maybe these 6:40 games tail off a little bit. There will be a bit fewer of them as the school year ends. And, I heard that's the reason why a lot of these teams do that early in the season and maybe even a little later in the season. So I think it's even only the one game that starts at 6:40 tonight. So excited to get into it. Interesting weekend and see what we can find here.
I like that. DC, how was your weekend? What's going on, man? How's your day going?
Good day. Got out for a little trail run and had a close encounter with a rattlesnake out there. I almost stepped on a rattlesnake running on the trails. The closest I've come yet. I've seen a few kind of briefly off the trail, but this one slithered right across as I was running along. Certainly made me jump and pick up my pace for a bit there. No Diamondbacks, I guess, on the slate tonight. I would have been all over the snakes tonight.
Would have been a sign, yeah.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow we'll jump on board. Mm-hmm. But that was interesting, and I think a really fun 7-game slate tonight. One where I think there are a lot of different stacks in play, and then some interesting pitching plays as well. A fun major league debut for the Reds pitcher, Andrew Abbott. Obviously, he's going to be a topic of conversation. So, fun slate ahead tonight here.
Yep, absolutely. Before we do go talk pitchers game by game like always, we got to shout out some people in chat today. Got Jacob Stubbs in here. Mama Rocks. SO, what's going on, Mama Rocks? Hope you're having a good day. Stephen Coy's in here as always, providing a good mojo. Mangone's in here. Stever's our guys in here. Corey Pooler, Uncle T, William, Trevor Bryan. Trevor Bryan says hi to the pup that you can always hear in the back. The yellow lab. He knew the yellow lab. You can hear barking sometimes. So what's going on, Trevor? We the people in here as well. DC minus 150 over the rattlesnake. No. I don't know, Uncle T. I might take the other side of that bet for you if you want to slide in. But yeah, it's an interesting slate. I mean, if you want to talk basketball, DC, if you want to talk about yesterday's game, we can talk a little NBA first. But I thought you didn't even want to talk about that. I thought you'd rather get right into baseball.
Man, the Heat, you just cannot count them out. It's so you make the same mistake like a million times during the playoffs, and they just keep battling back. I didn't think they were going to win a game in Denver. I thought they might get one in Miami, but certainly didn't see that coming. Man, you got to give so much credit, I think, to Eric Spoelstra, just the coaching job that he does, making adjustments. Seems like series after series, dealing with superior talent in every series and coming up with ways, to get his team to the finish line. So, yeah, credit to the Heat. It's a series now, man. I mean, Denver's home court advantage is taken away from them. They got to go on the road and win one in Miami. So I think series price is like minus 250 or so once you take the juice out, which I think is fair. But, yeah, hard to bet against the Heat, honestly, right now for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I did. I will admit, yesterday night I was scrolling through. I saw -2 for the Nuggets. It was -2.5 at most books. DK and FanDuel -2. And I said, I was cheering for the Heat last game, but I was like, man, you're giving me 2 points with the Nuggets. Yeah, if the Heat keep doing it, I guess they'll keep taking my money. But like you said, Spoelstra for sure. Man, if they beat the Nuggets and win the title, the Bucks, obviously the Knicks weren't great, but Bucks, Celtics, and then play-in game if you want to talk about that. Play-in, Bucks, Celtics, Nuggets. I don't know if you have a better run, if any team has ever had a better run than that, the 8 seed. I mean, it's been amazing. And I will say Bam. I used to shit on Bam a lot. I used to think he was definitely overrated and all this stuff. It's been a new Bam in this playoffs. I've been very impressed with him. But JT, actually, we can start with you at pitching. I don't think you even want to talk any hoops. We can go right into the 7-game baseball slate. What do you want to do, JT? Do you want to mix it up 8K and above? And then, let's do that. Let's go. Because I think there are, we talked about Abbott down below, mid-price 4K. I think 8K and above to start at pitcher. Then I'll go to DC and then we'll talk cheapies. But Aaron Nola definitely going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Outside of him, Blake Snell, I think, is going to get some. Martin Perez is there. There's Braxton Garrett. What do you see 8K and above right now, JT? What do you like?
Yeah, I played a little NBA last night, but I was anchored to Michael Porter Jr. And anchored is the right way because he anchored me and took all my lineups to the bottom of the leaderboard. So it was not a fun way to end my Sunday. But this is interesting. A lot of people, I actually joked earlier when I first went into Discord if today was a holiday, just because of the number of people that were in there talking about the two big decision points, which are the projected 50-ish% ownership for Aaron Nola, probably closer to 35-40% for Blake Snell. And then what I'm seeing is 32% on this kid Abbott, who is being brought up for the Reds, highly touted prospect. But we'll stay within the lane of 8K and above. And that's how I've broken them down today, at least on the pricing level. So you go from Martin Perez and up. I just can't play Martin Perez at this 8K price against a Cardinals lineup that's not great, but that's got enough power. And, the renaissance of Martin Perez from last season, we just haven't seen it this season. So he's not going to be really highly enough owned for me to worry about that anyway. I'm seeing 4% on him, and I'm not going to have any. You go up from him to a pitcher I really like tonight, Braxton Garrett, 8,300 against the Royals, who do strike out quite a bit against left-handed pitching. They do have some power in their lineup. Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt, obviously. You do get the pitcher's park here. But on this slate, at this price, and this matchup, based on his underlying metrics, he actually grades out as the number one pitcher for me on this slate. His walk to strikeout ratio, no real concerns with any BABIP issues. Runners left on base. He seems to be right around league average, if not maybe even a little bit unlucky in some of those areas. So I will have a lot of Braxton Garrett. I'm not paying $8,700 for Julio Teheran. I wouldn't have paid $77. I probably wouldn't have paid $5,700 for Julio Teheran. So we can leave it at that. We can talk a little bit more about the Reds because they did have a change to their lineup that makes it probably a better matchup for Teheran. But still, by the numbers, this is the number one hitter's park for home runs in Major League Baseball over the course of the last 3 seasons. And that's what Julio does when he's not good, is he gives up home runs. Then we get to Nola and Snell. Snell against the Cubs team that strikes out 25% of the time, but has big power from guys like Seiya Suzuki, Dansby Swanson. You've got Nico Horner, who's a nice leadoff guy. Actually, I'm going to take some stabs on the Cubs stacks here, and I'm going to be under the field on Blake Snell. And then for me, look, rough start to the season. I think we say this every year with Aaron Nola. We also have seen the last couple of seasons better at home than on the road. He gets a Detroit team that had their little hot streak. Then they just got absolutely dominated over the weekend by the White Sox. Now they face this Phillies team. The bullpen issues have somewhat stabilized for the Phillies. I know that Aaron Nola is going to be the highest owned pitcher on this slate, but I think he kind of should be the highest owned pitcher on this slate. And I'm going to side with him. I'm going to side with the track record. I'm going to side with the strikeouts, the low isolated power, the low weighted runs creation plus of Detroit. There are a couple of guys in this lineup that I might play. If I'm doing one-offs, and I will be, Akil Baddoo, Zach McKinstry. Other than that, though, there's enough strikeouts here that I think that Nola gets right here. And look, he hasn't been absolutely terrible every game this season. His best starts have come at home. He had a good start in Houston, good start at home against the Cubs. So I rank these guys, Garrett, Nola, and that's pretty much it above 8K for me.
Good breakdown. One question from DJ JT. Any worries about the leash about 80 pitches for Garrett at 8,300? Would be all over him if you knew he could go longer into games. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I think that's a price point that I'm willing to take the chance. And I don't think it is, right? We had a long conversation in Discord yesterday about Tristan McKenzie. I thought he would get 75 pitches. He got 79. I was dead wrong in terms of how bad the Minnesota lineup would be against him. We all know he's an elite pitcher. If length wasn't an issue, would have been all over McKenzie yesterday. I was dead wrong on that. Here, it's just a matter of the slate, right? And we can talk through these other pitchers and what their ownerships are going to be. And I kind of like the other side of where some of these other pitchers are going to be prioritized. We'll talk about Abbott when we get down to the next range of pitchers after DC talks through his list. But for me, he gets me 5 2/3, 6 innings, 5 or 6 strikeouts, and an earned run, and a chance at the win because although Mike Myers has been good, he's also got a ridiculously high left on base percentage. He's kind of been sun running, and I think the Marlins can put up some runs here against the Royals. So I'm going to take the chance. That's the stand I'm taking tonight. Is my 2 highest owned guys are going to be Aaron Nola and Braxton Garrett.
Yeah, no, I like it for sure. And like you mentioned, this pitching slate outside of Aaron Nola is not good. I mean, you take a lot of these guys, you get 15 from them, you'll definitely be happy. And one other thing about Braxton Garrett, Big Bill Miller behind the dish, extreme pitchers umpire, of course, big boost there. So yeah, I definitely like myself some Braxton Garrett as well. DC 8K and above. I mean, you can not talk about Julio Teheran. I don't know why he's 8.7K or whatever he is. Like JT said, 6.7K, I'm still not paying. 5.7K, I'm still not getting to him. So 8K and above. Besides him, though, I think they're worth talking about.
Yeah, I'll one up you guys. I wouldn't play him at 4.7 or below the salary floor for 3.7. Still wouldn't do it with Julio Teheran. He has had 2 pretty good starts in a row. I'm not buying this one with Teheran. He's coming back to earth probably tonight, if not tonight, relatively soon. Cincinnati did lose their best bat against him, the lefty Jake Fraley. Must be some bad allergies, Jake Fraley, to sit out the game in Great American versus Julio Teheran. I would think you could kind of fight through the pollen for that matchup. But
after smashing, too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, Teheran not in play for me. My favorite here is Braxton Garrett, like you guys mentioned. Wasn't even aware yet of the umpire matchup. That's a nice boost for him. I've been kind of riding the Garrett train in a lot of these starts ever since that Atlanta blow up when they just left him out there to die, gave up 14 hits, 11 earned runs. Man, he's been like really pretty damn solid pretty much all year long, despite that, besides rather that one huge blow up. I've watched these starts. His command is just on point, putting the ball, it seems like, wherever he wants. And when you can do that in Miami, this Royals team, I mean, the Royals have been in a lot of good spots throughout this year and normally don't really come through, right? If we're being honest on this Royals team, this is a bad spot for them, I think. And I like Garrett's chances. I get it with the pitch count concerns. I will say, and if you look at the actual number of pitches he's thrown, it's kind of hard to have this take, I guess. But like when they pulled him that last start, you could see he was pretty upset about getting pulled from the game. And I do think he can go longer. He hasn't been wearing down. They've just been cautious with him. I think at this point, like, he's going to start earning the right, I think, to pitch deeper into games. I personally think he's able to do so. And especially after last start, it wouldn't surprise me if he's rolling, right? Obviously, he's got to be pitching well. It's kind of a prerequisite for it. But I don't think he's like hard capped at 80 or even 85. I think he could go 90 plus. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. So I will say that about Braxton Garrett. Not that you could necessarily expect that, but I don't think he's necessarily capped like it looks like he has been if you look at the game log. So he is my favorite of the bunch. Nola is second, but man, I've been off Aaron Nola all year long, and he hasn't been terrible, but he's been pretty well off he's had some big games here and there, but for the most part, kind of in that like 10 to 16 range for the majority of his starts. Now he does get obviously a very good matchup here, but given, at least a little bit of ownership discount from Nola to Garrett and a $1,900 price discount, I will take Garrett over Nola myself on my own GBP lineups. But I do have Nola second. Blake Snell, I mean, you guys know the rule with Blake Snell. You just don't want to play him in tournaments when he's chalk, right? You never know what Blake Snell you're going to get, and he's going to be a popular pick tonight. So I prefer, frankly, in GPPs to play Snell like maybe in tougher matchups or when looks like he's overpriced, because then you get him at really low ownership, and I think he's capable of throwing a good start against anybody, but he's also capable of going negative against any lineup in the league. So he's just a guy that I try my best to avoid when he's chalked. That'll be the case for me. He's in play. He's got, probably the second most upside on the slate behind Aaron Nola, I think. Braxton Garrett I would put in there. But yeah, it's Garrett for me up top here. Nola second. I would put Snell third. And then Tehran and Martin Perez. Really no interest in those guys whatsoever.
I like it. Good breakdown. And JT, we'll get to you for 8K and below first. But before that, we do appreciate if you do hit that like button for us. When you do hit that like button, a big red subscribe button right next to it as well. Helps us out a ton. And we do have a promo going on. Let me pull it up right here so you guys can see right here. Summer 33 gets you 33% off. The biggest promo we've ran. All sports, weekly or monthly package. All sports, one price. Summer 33 gets you 33% off. We have golf going on. Absolutely been on fire in golf. Has the RPS team, like always. We got NASCAR. We got MMA. League of Legends going on. CSGO going on. You name it. We got it over here if DraftKings offers it. Summer 33 gets you 33% off. Do not miss out on that. JT, going to you, 8K and below. Start with Abbott for sure. The highly touted prospect. Uncle T was talking about this guy at the March Madness party, waiting for him to be coming up to the Reds. 4K min price. What are you doing with him? Some other names. Alec Manoah, he's been no good. JP Sears there. I don't know. It's pretty gross below 8K for the most part. What do you got, JT?
Yeah, so we'll start with Abbott. I think, and you can, judge for yourself by what you're hearing around the industry when an ownership projection is wrong. And his ownership projection is pretty healthy at 30 to 32%, 30 to 35%, what I'm seeing. But it seems like everyone in the industry is on him. And if everyone in the industry is on him, then it seems like it's going to come in higher than 30 to 35%. It seems like a lot of people have the same feeling that we do, which is fade chalk Snell, right, against this Cubs team. And so that means that you're going to see a lot of Abbott in lineups tonight. And I feel this way the same way that I do every single time a pitcher comes up who's highly touted like this. And DC, it seems like we've discussed the same situation 50 or so times in the 3 years that we've been doing this. And I think you can go either way on this, because on the one hand is a highly touted prospect. He's 4K. He's got the same or a better K prop than many of these 8K pitchers, 5.5, juiced a little bit under. On the other hand, you've got the park that he's playing in. That is, like I said, the best home run park for hitters for the last 3 seasons. This isn't an isolated situation. Balls fly out of Great American Ballpark. He's facing a team that strikes out a lot. Second most. Minnesota has overtaken them now against left-handed pitching, but they also put the ball over the fence against left-handed pitching as well. They've got a bunch of right-handed power. Even this kid, Andrew Monasterio, homered last night. Guys like Contreras, Brian Anderson, Owen Miller has been pretty much red hot here. So I can see both sides. What I can tell you that I'm doing is I'm going to be under the field. I'm going to have some exposure in case he is the next coming of Randy Johnson and he starts out of the gate hot by mowing down this Milwaukee Brewer team, because I don't have any issues about his length. But I don't want to be anywhere near as exposed as I think he's going to be on this slate, which is potentially in the 40% range or higher. So that's what I'm doing with him. It's really more of a game theory thing than anything else. Yes, all the numbers look good. K-prop, price, everything. The matchup can be good at times. We have seen Milwaukee's bats come alive in this series, and they did not have to travel. This was not a game where they're coming off of a travel day here. So that's how I'm going to handle Abbott. Outside of him, I am not going to take a chance on Wentz. I'm not going to take a chance on Mayers. 208 batting average against and a 96% left on base rate for him. His expected ERA is a full 2 runs higher than what it's been. So some regression is coming in there for him. It's also always when you play a bulk guy, yes, he's gotten 75, 84 pitches, something like that. There's going to be a day when that just doesn't happen. So I'm not playing him. Oviedo is a guy who at 28%, to me, it seems like he's going to be a little bit over-owned on this slate. I think I'm going to have some Oviedo, but I also do like some of the left-handed power for Oakland. The guy that ranks as the second best pitcher on this slate by the numbers, strikeout to walk ratio, batted balls in play. He does have a high barrel rate and gives up a couple of home runs per 9. It's JP Sears. I don't want to be too heavily invested in JP Sears at 7,600 against the Pirates, but the Pirates have been bad against left-handed pitching. So JP Sears is going to make my pool ahead of Wainwright, Manoah, or Bielak. Maybe I'll play a share or two of Kyle Hendricks, because if we're right and the Chicago power bats get to Snell, then maybe Chicago gets a win and the Padres beat the ball into the ground all night trying to play catch-up. So that's pretty much the pool for me. We'll be interested to see how DC feels differently or doesn't feel differently.
At DC, it's pretty gross below 8K, which is why a lot of people are going Abbott, because Noah, Abbott, Snell are pretty much, of course, some people go Garrett, some Oviedo, but mainly those three. And outside, it's pretty gross. Talk about Abbott, what you're doing with him to start, and then everyone else below 8K you have interest in.
Yeah, I could talk like a little scouting report. I think we got time on a 7-game slate on what kind of pitcher Andrew Abbott is, because he is a big decision point tonight. I'll say first, I'm going to have a lot of him in my 20 lineups, but he did not come into the year as like a super high ranked prospect, and like the results for him have been incredible. Like a ton of strikeouts. If you look, you can look kind of even like swinging strike rate, all that stuff. It looks great for Andrew Abbott. He's really missing a ton of bats. In the matchup against the Brewers, like JT said, they swing and miss against lefties more than anyone. The Twins strike out more, but it is the Brewers who actually, like offer and swing and whiff on pitches against lefties more than any team in the league, which looks like it should fit perfectly for Abbott, who's getting a ton of whiffs. But like his stuff, he's not going to be a guy that, like, JG said, the next coming to Randy Johnson. He's not going to look anything like Randy Johnson. He's like 6 foot even. He's kind of a soft tosser. I think he's going to be throwing 92, 93. And to get that many whiffs at that kind of velocity and, not being a premium athlete or anything like that, what that means almost certainly is that he's probably working up in the zone and locating his fastballs, right? And getting, getting people to swing, minor leaguers to swing under the fastball at the top of the zone, which also makes sense when you look at his fly ball rate, giving up a ton of fly balls, he's getting pop-ups as well. But it's a dangerous place to live if he pitches like I think he's going to pitch, which is fastballs at the top of the zone, trying to beat the Brewers to the spot up there. If you're a little bit off and you make any mistakes, those are home runs in Great American against big leaguers. So I think if you're off Abbott, if you want to fade him, get some of this Brewers power in your lineup. I think even if Abbott pitches well, I think there's a pretty good chance he gives up a home run or two. So I'm going to play him. Part of the thing is, JT, you said he might be what do we think? 30, 35%, maybe 40% owned for Abbott, something like that. I almost feel like his ownership would be the same if he was 8K and not 4K. Like these pitchers that come up, I would still play him pretty much the same amount.
To be fair, and this is where we have differed maybe more than anything else. You always play the prospect making their first start.
Not always, but yeah, a lot of the time.
Let's say 7 out of 10 times you're on the side of playing the prospect, right? Fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. In general, yes, I play them more than the field does. Yeah.
7 out of 10 times I take the opposite track. I'm going to play the opposing, because the things that we can't account for in projections and models in that Vegas will usually account for, but hey, you get into that big league stadium, you're finally there.
Sure.
I can't imagine what it feels like. And now you're telling me that this isn't a hard thrower. This is a guy who's more of a finesse pitcher. It could work. It could work against the Milwaukee team. But again, there's enough professionals here that they'll have the same scouting report, and they're going to know, hey, just wait for that fastball above the belt and crank away.
Yeah, I think a likely outcome for Abbott is something like 6 innings. They do let him go real close to 100 pitches every time out, so you've kind of got probably some leash there if he's pitching okay. But I think a fairly likely outcome is something like 6 innings, 6 or 7 strikeouts, and maybe a couple home runs given up. So I think if you're not on Abbott. I know on teams where I'm not playing him, I'm definitely going to have at least a couple Brewers trying to pick off some home runs. Most of their lineup, frankly, I think has the opportunity to take him deep. And I mean, JT, you're right. Like, it could easily go south for him, right? If he falls behind a couple hitters, walks the first couple guys, gives up a 3-run home run. We've seen it plenty of times with every pitcher, but I think especially rookies making their debut are especially susceptible to that. And given his pitching style, the lineup he's facing, I do think this is kind of a matchup that really could go either way. But I do think the discount, the 4K discount on this slate, to me, it does kind of go a long way, right? Like, I really like those expensive Rangers bats, guys like Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia. I really love the 2 expensive Astros outfielders, Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Paul Goldschmidt's, and there are a ton of expensive bats that I think are worth paying up for that could make the difference for you, even if Abbott doesn't turn in a good performance, because some of these big hitters, you can't get to them really if you don't play Abbott, and there's nobody else down there. Like, I'm not playing Wentz, Hendricks, Carlos Hernandez. I played Michael Myers. I think that was on Memorial Day, kind of just because I needed a cheap pitcher. He did well, but I don't really trust him. It was more of a kind of a desperation play. Now his price is up. So yeah, I don't really trust him. Like, Oviedo, I think is okay. Wainwright, Bielak, Manoah, these are all no's for me. So he's really the only guy down there that I want to play. And I do think I'm playing him on FanDuel on my main lineup too, Andrew Abbott. So I guess that maybe goes some way to saying how underpriced I think he really is for his level of upside on DraftKings. So yeah, most of my lineups will be the Abbott and Garrett combination. And then I'm with you, JT. I do like JP Sears at least a little bit. I don't love this matchup for him. The Pirates team pretty good against lefties for the most part. They got some power. He's another one I wouldn't be surprised to see some power out of those that top of the Pirates order. But Sears has shown some pretty good strikeout upside against, he faced the Yankees a few starts ago, and he was really mowing them down through 4 or 5 innings, eventually kind of fell apart. But I do think Sears does have some upside, 7,600. I'm seeing him come around, 5 to 10% ownership on this pitching slate.
Very low.
I think he's got a chance to put up 20 fantasy points on a good day at a really low ownership. So he's kind of the guy that rounds out the pool for me.
I like it. Yeah, good breakdown. Eric in chat said, would you play – what about a 3-man stack against Abbott while playing Abbott? Definitely don't do that, Eric. Not on this slate. If you're playing Abbott, I would not play any Brewers.
No.
You're getting too cute trying to – yeah, of course, if you get the DC game, 6 innings, 7 Ks, 3 home runs against, and you get those 3 home runs, course, but you need a lot to go right. Definitely don't do that.
It's trying a little too hard to thread the needle on that.
Yeah, if it was a 3-game slate, that's when you can do little stuff like that, but definitely not on a slate like this. So yeah, I guess DC that was pitching top three today.
Yeah, Abbott, Garrett, and I guess Nola, but a lot of Abbott and Garrett for me.
Yeah. What about you, JT? Garrett and then who? Garrett, Nola. Actually, how are you ranking Garrett and Nola? So top 3.
Yeah, Nola, Garrett, and then I'll stick with the numbers here. I'll go with Sears. People in here are talking about a couple of the Pirates guys and getting to them. Look, we know the way this goes for Oakland. You could totally play the Pirates. I wouldn't 5-man them with JP Sears, but you could totally play a guy or two and, play Sears as well if you wanted to do that. But you could also, if you're making a bunch of lineups, have Pirate stacks because we know that Oakland's bullpen is, and a point on Oakland's bullpen, they're taxed, and I think you're likely to see their worse bullpen arms today. So it's just another point for the Pirate stacks, which means I won't have as much Sears as maybe I would have otherwise. But it also might be a reason, if we can see one, that maybe if he's pitching well, he gets a full 6 innings or maybe even a little bit more so that they don't have to go into that bullpen. But winning's not really a priority for that team right now anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's for sure. That's the pitching on this slate. It's pretty gross, but hey, it's an interesting one. Ownership's going to be concentrated. They gave you low an option. They like JP Sears little bits. Abbott, of course, DC likes. Braxton Garrett, they both like. Aaron Nola as well. And Blake Snell, both of you guys didn't really have much interest, and he's going to probably be the second chalkiest pitcher on this slate. So that is pitching for you guys. Game by game, we got 7 games. Again, we do appreciate if you do hit that like button for us. 377 watching, only 96 likes, as JT says. Hurtful, but we do appreciate if you do hit that like button. Again, 6:40 Eastern lock time instead of the usual 7:05 or 7:10. So 40 minutes, first game of the night. Kansas City Royals, Miami Marlins. We got Mike Myers, Braxton Garrett on the mound. I don't see too many bats I like in this one, DC. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'm not on any Royals at all. Bad park to hit in, obviously, in Miami. Obviously, in on Braxton Garrett. So the Royals, a complete cross-off for me. Salvador Perez would be the guy that I'd be most likely to play if I was trying to go there. And Marlins, Luis Arraez and Jesus Sanchez, I guess, are okay plays, but I'm not going to have much in this first game outside of a lot of Garrett.
What is 3 home runs for Gurriel? I was trying to see how many home runs Gurriel had this year. 3 home runs for him. Who's got more pop, him or Jose Abreu?
That's a good question at this point. I think I'd still lean Abreu, but it's getting closer every day.
JT, answer that one for me, and then break down this game.
Man, that is it's not a topic I've thought about. I gotta be honest. You asked me a question where I really like Yuli Gurriel hit like a double or a triple yesterday. I was like, oh man, look, he actually hit the ball. So I think it's pretty goddamn close between those.
Just those 5 and 6 guys that used to bat in the middle of the order for the Astros. That's why I asked. But
Crazy.
All right, any thoughts in this one?
Jesus Sanchez and Brian De La Cruz for me. Mini stacks in Miami here. I like
it. Let's go to the next game on the slate. We got here we go. Detroit Tigers, Philadelphia Phillies, Joey Wentz, Aaron Nola on the mound. 75 degrees in Philly. Philly, one of the highest implied totals on the slate. DC, any Phillies for you against Wentz? And then Nola, if you want to play, could you make a case for the Tigers, not just game theory-wise? Of course, he's going to be by far the most popular pitcher on the slate, but just in general, since you've been a little lower on Nola.
I'm not going to full stack against him, but I will go back to my 2 guys at the top there, McKinstry and Baду. Both guys can steal. You can run on Nola. They've got some power, good park to hit in, obviously, in Philadelphia. Nola, he's always given up home runs, hard contact to lefties. And, I think both guys have a pretty decent chance to do some damage. But I'm not going to full stack against Nola tonight. And, Phillies, they're up there. I think this lineup, this team's about to come alive. It's too good to kind of stay down all year. We saw the lineup kind of switch around over the weekend. Kyle Schwarber to the leadoff spot. I think he had 5 or 6 hits, hit the 2 home runs yesterday. I think it was last June. I think he hit like 17 home runs, something like that in the month. And I've been waiting for this for Schwarber. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get red hot for a while. It's kind of the player that he is. I don't love the lefty-lefty matchup for him. Wentz much worse against right-handed bats. So guys like Castellanos, Turner, Real Muto look good to me. But, if you're playing those 3 guys, probably putting Schwarber and Harper in there anyway, right? And going for the 5-man stack. So, very high on this Phillies team. I think they're going to do quite a bit of damage to Wentz, to the Tigers over this series. And I think Phillies might be a decent team to ride for a while. I wouldn't be surprised to see them put up some big runs as the weather heats up in Philadelphia.
Yep, absolutely love that. JT, talk about Philly. Are they one of your favorite stacks on the night? You like Noah a lot, so I doubt you get to any Tigers, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Badu and McKinstry line up pretty well against Nola. So if I'm going to play Tigers, it'll be 2-man stacks of those guys. And then I do like the Phillies here. They're showing again as the most popular stack, but even only around 12 or 13% here. So I'll definitely have some Phillies tonight.
I like it. And as Jacob Stubbs says in chat, come on, people, hit the like for this all-star crew. The least you can do. Oh, don't have to hear Holden's voice today. Well, that was mean. I wasn't going to read that part, Jacob. Holden always has off on Mondays. You'll never have to worry about Holden on Mondays. But, hit the like. I do agree with that part. We do appreciate that. We'll keep it rolling, though. Next game on the slate. Oakland Athletics, Pittsburgh Pirates, JP Sears, Johan Oviedo on the mound. No, you didn't have interest in Sears. But Oviedo, you guys had a little interest in. But, man, yeah, you had interest in Sears as well. Pirates got a pretty high implied total, and I think they're going to get some ownership. They are cheap, most of those bats in that lineup. JT, what are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I show the Pirates as the second highest owned stack here, and I'm definitely going to have some in my lineups. But again, like I said, I do like JP Sears enough that I'm not going to go overboard on the Pirates here. And then I like the power lefties, Noda and Seth Brown in particular, for the Oakland A's here against Oviedo. I mean, should Oviedo be 30% owned? Probably not. So I like taking some stabs at that, even though I will have some Oviedo.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That shows the nature of this pitching slate when he does get up there with that ownership. But A is going to be very low owned. So, yeah, I mean, guaranteed ninth inning at bat. Don't hate it. DC, I don't love playing the A's. They're going to be really low owned, though. Again, I don't love playing the Pirates. They're not going to be low owned, though. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, Ryan Noda, I think, is the best play on the A's. He's actually had a pretty good under the radar, right, when you're playing for the A's, but really barreling up a good percentage of baseball, especially against right-handed pitching. And Oviedo is someone you can definitely get to. So if you need, if you're paying up for pitching or some of the bigger bats, I think Ryan Noda, one of the better value players on the slate. Seth Brown looks fine. We know the power that Rooker has. So yeah, I think you can do worse than going for a contrarian A's stack here. And like I said, I do like JP Sears. I will have some exposure there. But this matchup does worry me a little bit for him. He's got 8 right-handers out there. It's Sears kind of used to pitching at home. It's not a bad place to pitch in Pittsburgh, but this Pirates team is a little scary, I think, against lefties. Rodolfo Castro just crushes lefties. He's a sneaky play out of the 5-hole. McCutchen, Connor Joe. Yeah, they've got some really good options. Even Brian Hayes has kind of turned it around over the last week or so. So he's interesting as well. So, yeah, if the Pirates had a different lineup, like I would have been more in on Sears here, but a little bit worried about it. I do actually think this kind of reminds me a little bit of the Abbott matchup as well, where I could see Sears missing a bunch of bats, getting strikeouts, but the power for Pirates, I think, is concerning. So second highest owned stack on the slate, though, that does feel a little bit rich for me against Sears, who has been pretty damn good for most of the year.
Yeah, and when you just see the Pirates, the order is getting a little better, but man, second highest owned for the Pirates. Yeah, still the Pirates. But yeah, the ownership, they will probably be second highest owned because when you want to play Blake Snell and you want to play Aaron Nola, outside of Brian Reynolds, Cutchin's 4 or 5, but this lineup is cheap. There's a lot of ways to go with paying up or paying for another stack and then using it as a secondary stack. So yeah, I think there's other spots on the slate that are a little more interesting. Mangone, DC, is this true what Mangone's saying? DC slides into JSU DMs to request to work every Monday with no Holden.
could be true. Not actually true though. But I do appreciate the Mondays, knowing you two guys are here on nice stress-free show. Won't have to talk about my sex life or anything like that. It's nice.
We can change things up if you like to talk about that. We can start with ask you whether the bench was wet or dry during the week. I mean, we can go that way. I mean,
you can ask those questions. I'll sit back and just listen to that. Trevor Bryan, Holden's hilarious. Yes, Holden is hilarious. We all love Holden. You got to give him shit. It's fun to give the man some shit. But Holden is the man. He'll be back tomorrow as always. We'll keep it rolling though. Again, we do appreciate if you do hit that like button for us, and when you do, big red subscribe button. And again, we do have that promo code going. Summer33 gets you 33% off. If you want DC's cores, JT cores, DC's got his player pool up, Mangone single entry, 3-entry max, playbook, all of that good stuff. Cash chart, head over on Pure Sports. And if you do join, make sure you do get in the Discord as well. Summer33, 33% off. We'll keep it rolling. Again, lock is in 30 minutes. You guys got to build your lineups. We got to build our lineups too. So we'll keep the show rolling. We do appreciate if you do hit that like button for us, though. 4 games left on the slate. Houston Astros, Toronto Blue Jays, Brandon Bielak, Alek Manoah on the mound. 10 total in this one, DC. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, besides the pitchers that I'm on, I think almost all the offenses you can make a case for, including, of course, these two. I think, Tyler, I think you were on the show with me. I can't remember, JT, if you were as well, maybe, when I called the last start for Mr. Madison Bumgarner back in April. Calling it for Alek Manoah tonight.
Wow.
Last ride for Mr. Manoah, going down to the minors after the Astros dust him off. Blue Jays in a tough division, trying to win the AL East, get a playoff spot. They just can't run this guy out there forever. And I think the Astros finish him off here. So, yeah, obviously love the Astros if that's my prediction. They're expensive. Another reason I think to spend down at pitching today. Favorite two are the lefties, Alvarez, Tucker. But, yeah, the guys at the top, Dubon, Pena, have a good chance to steal bases as well as do damage with the bat against Manoah and the Alejandro Kirk battery. So very high on the Astros. And, listen, I like the Blue Jays too. Brandon Bielak, he's definitely a below-average major league starter, hasn't shown much. Blue Jays can get to anybody, including him. So I do think we'll see fireworks in this one.
JT, do you agree? Fireworks in this one. Nice, healthy total, both teams.
Yeah, we know how bad Alek Manoah has been this season. Bielak coming off one of his best starts, and we were on him against the Minnesota Twins last week. But that was at home. He's got severe home road splits, and he's due for a bit of a beatdown. I don't love Toronto as much here. I do like their power bats. Remember, the Astros bullpen is very, very good, and I do think that enough of their good arms are available here that if Bielak gets into significant trouble, I don't think Dusty's going to give this game away, which is kind of what you would need to see a full-on shootout here. But I agree with DC that the Houston side here, and it looks like they're going to be under-owned for, I think, the spot that they're in, which makes it, doubly nice for them.
Yeah, outside of Yordan, I think, of course, Kyle Tucker going to get a little as well. But I think the lineup is a five-man stack will be definitely behind the Pirates, the Phillies, the teams we've talked about. So, yeah, don't mind the one bit. We'll keep it rolling again. 3 games left on this slate, and definitely an interesting one at Great American Ballpark. Julio Teheran, Andrew Abbott on the mound. Abbott's going to get ownership. We talked a lot about him, but you guys said the Brewers could be interesting on this slate. Again, a pretty healthy total, and people aren't playing them. They're going to definitely be low owned on this slate. From everything I took from you guys, I'm leaning Brewers over Abbott side and with the ownership. And, man, it's warm. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat. I like these Brewers today. Don't say that very often. It's not fun being a Brewers fan, but hey, I like them today. JT, talk about this game.
Yeah, I like the Brewers here. We talked about the downgrade to the Cincinnati lineup with Jake Fraley being scratched, but I will say Oakland's bullpen looking like the second worst on the slate here after the Oakland A's. They've got some major issues out there. So it is hot. It is the same 10 total that you see in the Toronto-Houston game. So I'll probably have more Milwaukee than Cincinnati, just the way that my pool shakes out.
You were saying Cincy's bullpen. You said Oakland and A's. So Cincy's bullpen's the second worst behind the A's?
Milwaukee's. Yeah.
Okay. You said Oakland. Yeah.
Cincy's the fourth worst. Texas, technically, since the beginning of the season, is the third worst, but they've had some changes to their bullpen that have improved the quality of it overall.
Man, it's been tough. The Brewers bullpen always number one, and it's fallen off. Now Hader goes, everyone goes. Now they're one of the worst. How things can change in a year in baseball. DC, you talked about it. You'll definitely have plenty of Andrew Abbott, but in those lineups you don't. You said you'll have some Brewers, and talk about the Reds.
Yeah, my 20 lineups will actually be well over the field on both Andrew Abbott and Brewer stacks for all the reasons that I mentioned. Not in the same lineup, but frankly, most of the lineups that I'm not using Abbott, I'm using Brewers. I just think he's going to give up some home runs here. I think he's going to get strikeouts as well. So I will be playing both sides of this one. The Teheran versus the Reds thing is weird. I've talked about it. Like, lefties are what you really want against Teheran. Unfortunately, the Reds only have one somehow in the entire lineup, which just seems impossible this day and age where, so many switch hitters and all that. Just Will Benson down there, by the way, who I do think is one of the best values on the slate. He's been pretty damn good since coming back up from the minors. Been running wild. He was doing it in the minor leagues too. You can run on Teheran, certainly. So Will Benson down there, I think, is my favorite play on the Reds. Obviously, you can stack against Tehran. I know a lot of people will do it. I'll be under the field there. I would be over if it was lefties. I think Tehran splits are that real, that genuine, that he's just one of those guys where I try to play every lefty against him and typically kind of go a different direction for most right-handed bats. So that'll be what I do here. But of course, it's coming for Tehran sooner rather than later, but I'll be kind of hoping he can maybe somewhat survive one more start here, but no interest in using him. And then, of course, plenty of Abbott for me.
Yeah. Eric said in chat, Benson is a stud. Yeah, that price looks good. This matchup looks good. The Tyler in chat, I went to high school with Fraley. Them allergies always killed them. I'm not even going to laugh because, man, allergies suck, as everyone knows, if you have bad allergies. But it's good information, Tyler.
That's pretty remarkable if we actually have someone in chat who not only went to high school with Fraley, but remembers that allergies got to him often.
Well, he probably played ball with them, and the dude was literally struggling.
I'm calling bullshit.
I believe him. I believe him.
I'm dubious. Officially dubious of that claim.
Unfortunately, we'll never know. Hey, actually, we could know. Send us a yearbook picture in Discord or something there, Tyler. That's the only way to know there. But I believe you and your words. 2 games left on this slate. Again, we do appreciate if you hit the like button for us. 128. Let's get 150. 150 for the plays of the day. We got 2 games left on this slate. And again, 23 more minutes until lock for the first game. Early lock time today. Do not forget. Yeah, right away. Caravel Academy. Look it up, DC.
Anyone can look up high school. We're going to need more evidence, Tyler. We're going to need more evidence than that.
I'm on your side, Tyler, but to be fair, you could probably Google that one. So a little more than that, but I trust you even more now, Tyler. I like it. Next game on the slate, 2 games left. Adam Wainwright, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on Martin Perez and the Texas Rangers. 10 total in this one. Waino's still doing the thing. DC, is this going to be Waino's last start in the MLB? I know you're going to say no to this, but it's got to be last year for sure. What about Martin Perez? Waino's already said it's the last year, hasn't he?
Yeah, I hope so, man.
It's got to be.
He was okay. JT, I think you were on him. Maybe his last start against Kansas City was good for Wainwright, certainly. I think that's his ceiling, that kind of start, though. And different matchup here, right? Against I've been kind of slow to crown this offense the best offense in baseball. But, man, we're third of the way through the season. They just getting it done every night. I don't think Wainwright is going to be the guy to slow this offense down. Got to expect Rangers going to do some damage. Guys like Adolis Garcia, Josh Jung, you can strike them out. They do kind of have the bad play discipline, but Wainwright can't miss any bats. So seems like he's going to struggle here. I love Texas. Very expensive. Really the whole lineup I think you can play. You can go down to the cheaper guys. Duran, Tavares have enough upside at the bottom if you want to play Texas, but with some savings. And I think the Cardinals, maybe my favorite under the radar stack. I don't think many people are going to the Cardinals tonight. This is still a team that has some historically great hitters against lefties. Goldschmidt, Arenado in particular have just murdered lefties their entire career. They get a mediocre one here in Martin Perez who gives up fly balls. Edman much better against lefties. Contreras, he's a catcher but with huge power. Even guys like DeJong, Jordan Walker, their prospect at the bottom. They got a lot of players, I think, who are worth playing. And they're going to be lower owned, I think, than they should be here. So I like the Cardinals quite a bit.
You know anything about this Lucan Baker guy?
Not a ton. He seems like a reasonable play. I mean, he's like a kind of a slugging, like a quad A type first baseman, whereas only skill is power. But hey, that's pretty much what you want for a 2K player. So
yeah. And then speaking of these Rangers, Jacob deGrom to the 60-day IL. Hurtful. You got any deGrom in best ball? We talked about it though. You can say bye-bye to those teams. Sucks, man. The story's going to be what if with him, because man, anytime he's on the mound, it's a problem. But unfortunate there. JT, what are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I mean, what can we say about the Texas Rangers? Same DC. I was kind of like, every time they score 15 runs, I'm like, no, can't play them. Can't play them the next day because they're not going to have the same outlier performance. And they didn't. They scored 12. So, I'm going to have some Texas tonight. They're going to be, and they're not even getting ownership here on this slate, which is amazing comparative to what some of these other teams are going to be on. So, yeah, I'm going to be on Texas. I'm going to have minis. I'm going to have fulls. They're going to be a very concentrated part of my player group tonight.
I like it. We got one game left on the slate. Again, let's get 150 likes. We do appreciate it in advance. Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, Kyle Hendricks, Blake Snell on the mound. It's pretty chilly in San Diego, at least compared to the rest. A little above 60 degrees. Blake Snell is going to have a lot of ownership. Can you make any case, JT, for the Cubs as leverage? And then talk about these Padres against Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, I like the Cubs here a little bit. Probably go with more mini stacks than anything else. Not all that many full stacks of these guys, but I like them. And then, the power guys on the Padres. The thing about stacking against Hendricks is it can work. I mean, it can work. He was there's some reports that he was all the way up to like 88 miles an hour last start, which is really, really fast for him. It's just he does force teams to beat the ball into the ground. I think these Padres by now are pressing a little bit. That's going to add to that. But I will definitely have a couple of Padres stacks here just because if he's off, then you're getting cookies down the middle, and I don't think these guys are going to miss those. Probably Tatis and Soto, my favorite here from the Padres lineup.
And Tatis coming off a big game. DC, what do you got in this one? Last game of the slate.
Yeah, I'll have a few Padres sprinkled in, but kind of like with JT, I'm not really going to the full stack much here. Soto, I think, is the best one off. Tatis second, so no different for me there from JT. And Cubs, I think, are sneaky against Blake Snell. We know, the same reason we don't want to play him when he's chalk is because he's capable of blowing up against anybody. And the Cubs do have some decent right-handed hitters. They've also got a decent amount of speed in that lineup at the top with Herner. Dansby Swanson could be running. Snell obviously can walk a ton of guys. Seiya Suzuki. Patrick Wisdom, I think, is one of the better one-offs on the slate. Ton of power, crushing lefties this year. He's got 14 home runs already in like a platoon role. So, yeah, Cubs do have definitely some desirable bats to get leverage against the chalk Snell, and Snell's a guy who can blow up, give up home runs, steals, all that stuff. So, yeah, I think the Cubs do make a lot of sense as a contrarian stack.
I'll just add one note here. Sorry, Tyler. Just add one note because I just saw it as I'm building some lineups, is that it may sound amusing. It sounds amusing to me, but Rooney Odor is leading off at 3K, and I mean, I'm not sure what he's on. He's probably on nothing. I'm not serious about that. But he's just been like a home run animal over the course of the last month. So Rooney Odor, 3K in the leadoff spot against Hendricks, is a guy that I'm interested in.
I like it. That is all 7 games on this slate. It's an interesting one. Top 3 stacks. I'm curious to see where you guys are going to go on this. A lot of good hitting options. Usually that's the case when pitching it isn't so great. So DC, give me your top 3 stacks today.
Yeah, top 3. There are a lot to choose from, but I will go Astros, number 1, against Alek Manoah. Phillies, 2. I think this team's about to get hot. I like the matchup against Wentz. And then the Rangers, number 3, obviously going up against Adam Wainwright as the current best offense in baseball. Seems like a pretty great spot for them.
I like it. I'll say the Brewers. I'll go with the Brewers. I'll take the leverage. The low-owned Brew Crew is my favorite stack of the slate. JT, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas, Houston. I like the Phillies here. I'm not going to name them just because DC did. They're going to be the highest on the slate. So give me the Cubbies. Give me the Cubbies as the third best stack here with that right-handed power.
Love it. Get it. We'll get you the plays of that. Let's see. I don't even know if you guys got 138. I should pull it. I know I should pull it, JT, but I'm going to give it to the people anyway. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I will start with myself first with the SO play of the day. Going to the Brew Crew, going to the 5-hole. Brian Anderson, you get third base, you get outfield eligibility, 3.4K. Brian Anderson goes deep against Abbott. JT, heading to France, the Eiffel Tower play of the day. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I talked about Oviedo. I like his talent long term. I just think he might be a little bit over-owned here, and I do like the left-handed power against both him and the bullpen. So we're going to go with a low-price guy that if you don't play Abbott, this is the guy that's going to help you get in those Texas and Astros stacks. Ryan Noda is no doubt hitting a home run tonight.
Love it. No doubt hitting a home run. Ryan Noda. DC, Mom's Basement play of the day. Cap it off for us.
Kyle Tucker takes the final swing off of Alek Manoah this year. Second inning, grand slam, makes it 8-0. Manoah exits, and we don't got to watch his fat ass for the rest of the season.
Ryan Noda, Kyle Tucker, Brian Anderson, the 3 plays of the day. Again, reminder, 14 more minutes until lock, the first game on FanDuel and DraftKings. So make sure to get those lineups in. We will be doing the same. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Again, our promo code going on right now, Summer33, gets you 33% off. Any weekly or monthly package is available. And SaberSim, our partner optimizer, is also available with that promo code too, which is not very often. 33% off. Will not find a better deal than that. Again, we appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Thumbs up, big red subscribe button on the way out. We do appreciate it. We're going to head on out, build our lineups, though. Get in the Discord. For JT, DC, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.